and it consists of cells, tissues, and organs which are designed to protect the internal environment from invasion and damage by foreign substances, foreign materials, foreign harmful material. The organs, the tissues which are included this system, they are specially designed to protect our body's internal environment from invasion and hazardous effects of the foreign materials such as many microorganisms. Now, this system includes lymphatic vessels and lymphoid organs. Lymphatic vessels, basically, they are closely associated with the blood vascular system, and they drain lymph into the systemic circulation. Lymphatic vessels, they carry lymph from the organs of the body, and they transport lymph to the systemic circulation. And if the lymphocytes, they are aggregated, they form lymphoid organs such as uh, thymus, spleen, lymph node, and tonsils. This lymphoid system basically consists of a network of lymphatic vessels and the lymphoid organs. Lymphatic vessels, they are basically associated with the blood system, blood vascular system, and they drain lymph into the systemic circulation, while the lymphoid organs are formed when the lymphocytes, they are collected, they are aggregated, and they form lymphoid organs. And the lymphoid organs include thymus and spleen, and lymph nodes and the tonsils. Anyone knows which of these lymphoid organs are primary and which are secondary? Any idea? I think those who have raised their hands, they know the primary and secondary lymphoid organ. Primary organs are those organs where the lymphocytes, they either B lymphocytes or T lymphocytes, they get formed and they get matured. And these organs include bone marrow and the thymus. While all the other organs, they are secondary, such as lymph node, spleen, tonsils. In these secondary lymphoid organs, there is further differentiation takes place, but maturation takes place in the primary lymphoid organ. That's why they are called as primary lymphoid organ. Cavity. These are the lymphatic organs of the body. Now, lymphatic tissue comprises of two components. All the lymphatic tissue, generally their microscopic feature, they include generally the basic component of all lymphatic tissue include reticular tissue, which consists of reticular tissue and the reticular cells and the fibers. Reticular tissue comprises of reticular cells and the reticular fibers, and the free or motile cells, which are mostly the lymphocytes, and the macrophages and plasma cells are also present within the lymphatic tissue. Reticular cells and the reticular fibers and lymphocytes, these two are the basic component, general basic component of the lymphatic tissue. And the lymphatic tissue in our body, it is distributed into two forms. Number one is the diffuse lymphatic tissue. They are present diffusely in the lamina propria. You guys know about the lamina propria? What is lamina propria? Lamina propria, you have gone through with the histology of the GIT. GIT basically comprises of tubular structure. So starting with the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, anal canal, it is basically a tubular structure. And in the tubular structure, basically there are 4 layers. Starting internally, there is mucosa or the mucous membrane. Then there is submucosa. Then there is muscularis propria. And last, outermost is the serosa or the adventitia. So the most internal lining, that is the mucous membrane or the mucosa, it further comprises of 3 structures. The innermost is the epithelium. The middle one is the lamina propria, and the outermost layer of the mucosa is the muscularis mucosae. 3 things that comprises of mucosa. Innermost is the epithelium, and that of a GIT is simple columnar with few modifications in the different organs, different components of the GIT, but basically epithelium is simple columnar. Then there is lamina propria, and in the lamina propria of GIT and respiratory system, you will find diffuse lymphatic tissue. You will find diffuse lymphatic tissue. This diffuse lymphatic tissue doesn't exhibit any aggregation or any special organization. There are reticular cells, there are reticular fibers, but they are arranged in an irregular network. And in this irregular network, you will find lymphocytes. And in addition to the lymphocytes, there will be macrophages and plasma cells also. Clear with the diffuse lymphatic system and the lamina propria. And the other one is of the lymphatic system is the nodular lymphatic system, nodular lymphatic tissue. In this type of lymphatic tissue, the cells, they are densely, they are collected, they are aggregated to form spherical nodules. That's why the term nodular lymphatic system or the nodular lymphatic tissue. The reticular cells or the lymphocytes or the macrophages, they are aggregated. They are aggregated to form a spherical nodules, and in these nodules you will find a darker zone that is called as cortex and a lighter zone that is called as medulla or the germinal center. Who said no? Aliza, you want to ask something?
No, ma'am.
Then why you reacted no? Aliza,
Yes, ma'am.
Aliza, you want to ask anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Clear with this diffuse and nodular lymphatic system. Examples of nodular system include white pulp of spleen and lymph nodes. While in the lamina propria, which is the second layer of the mucosa of a GIT, you will find diffuse lymphatic tissue. Clear with this? All the lymphocytes, either they are B cells or T lymphocytes or the natural killer cells, they all originate in the bone marrow. They are present in the blood, they are present in the lymph and the tissue spaces, and obviously in the lymphoid organs. See, the T lymphocyte, immature B and T lymphocyte, they are being produced by the stem cells present in the bone marrow. T lymphocytes, they remain immature and through the blood they enter thymus, one of the lymphoid organ. In the thymus, these immature T cells, they become mature and then enters the other lymphoid organs and then they activate the cell-mediated immunity. That's why these two structures, they are primary lymphoid organs. Maturation of T cells takes place in the thymus. Immature T cells, when they enter thymus, they are called as thymocytes. Cytes is the word for the cells, and these cells, they are present in the thymus. They are immature T cells. They are being carried from the bone marrow to the thymus, and in the thymus, they are matured and then they take part in the cell-mediated immunity. If there is antigen is the word for the foreign particle, virus, any microorganism, bacteria, it is the antigen. Foreign particle or the antigen, it will activate the cell-mediated immunity, and which is the function of the T lymphocytes. While B cells, they matured within the bone marrow, and when there is antigenic stimulation or the entry of foreign substance, these B cells, they will become mature and they will form plasma cells and memory cells, and they will take part in the antibody antigen or the humoral immunity. Is with the T cell is associated with the cell-mediated immunity, while B cells, which matures in the bone marrow, it will take part in the humoral immunity. These two are the primary lymphoid organs. Maturation of T cell takes place partly in the bone marrow and completed in the thymus, while production and maturation of B cell take place in the bone marrow. Now, the thymus, one of the lymphoid organ, it is a bilobe gland that is located in the superior mediastinum. Mediastinum, I think you all know about the mediastinum. Thymus is a bilobed structure, bilobe gland, and it is located. Vikram Singh, you want to ask something? And this thymus, which is a bilobe gland, it is located in the superior mediastinum. It is derived from the inferior, is derived from the third pharyngeal pouch. Those who have raised hand, unmute themselves and ask if you want to ask anything.
Ma'am, what is superior mediastinum?
Yes, ma'am. Superior mediastinum.
You guys don't know about the mediastinum?
No.
You have not gone through with the thorax? See the thorax, a thoracic cavity. Thoracic cavity, it is formed by the rib cage, bony structure. Anteriorly, there is a sternum. Posteriorly, there is vertebral column, and anterior and posterior lateral, you will find ribs. And these ribs, they are attached to the vertebral column, thoracic vertebra, and posteriorly and anteriorly to the sternum. They are forming rib cage, thereby forming a cavity, thoracic cavity. This thoracic cavity, it is being filled by the lungs on the right and left side. So the middle space that is left behind the lung, it is called as mediastinum. It is a medial space, a medial cavity between the two right and left, between the right and left lungs. It is the mediastinum, and the sternal angle, it is the point where it is divided into superior and inferior half. The thymus, it is located in the superior mediastinum. This is thymus, it is bilobe, it has right lobe, and it has left bi means two. It has two lobes, and it is located above the heart and the great vessels in the superior mediastinum. It is the anatomical position of the thymus. Clear with the mediastinum? It is the medial space or the medial cavity of the thorax. On each side, you will find lungs, and in the superior mediastinum, you will find thymus, which is one of the lymphoid organ. It is embryologically developed from the third pharyngeal pouch. Thymus has a capsule of connective tissue. Thymus has a capsule of connective tissue covering both the lobes, and from the capsule ये आपको feature सब lymphoid organs में मिलेगा. ठीक है? From the connective tissue there are septa or the trabeculation. Septa and trabeculation, these are the same thing. Septa, they will emerge from the connective tissue capsule. They carry blood vessel with them and they extend into the parenchyma or into the substance of the or the functional component of the organ. And they will divide, these septa will divide the organ, lymphoid organ or the parenchyma of the organ into incomplete lobules. ऐसा नहीं है कि बिल्कुल पार्टीशन हो जाएगी, they are communicated with each other but they are incompletely divided into lobules. In case of thymus, there is a connective tissue covering, the connective tissue capsule. This capsule extend their septa towards the substance, towards the parenchyma of the thymus and dividing the thymus internal aspect in sub or the substance of the thymus into incomplete lobules. And each lobule consists of cortex, that is out on the outer aspect or the peripheral aspect, which is darker in darker stain, while it has a central medulla, which is the lighter area or the pale area. Since the septa do not divide the organ completely, the central part of each lobule is continuous with the medulla of the neighboring lobule. See the picture of the, see this is the connective tissue capsule. This is the cortex and this is medulla, lighter stain medulla. This is the cortex. And these are the trabeculation. These are the trabeculation. These are the, this is the lighter area, this is the lighter stain area. It is the medulla of a thymus, while this darker stain area is the cortex. And this is the connective tissue capsule, and these are the trabeculation extending from the capsule carrying neurovasculature towards the internal substance of the organ. These are the trabeculation area, this darker area. See, this septa, they do not divide these the substance of the thymus completely. These lobules, they are connected with each other. They are not completely partitioned, but they are connected with each other. Lighter area is the medulla, while the outer peripheral darker stain area is the cortex. This is the capsule. These are the trabeculation. Clear with the capsule? Now the cortex, it is the peripheral outer darker zone. It mainly composed of densely packed T lymphocytes. See, as we have discussed that all the lymphoid tissue have framework of reticular cells and the lymphocytes and macrophages. This thymus consists of T lymphocytes. They also consist of reticular cells and the macrophages. T lymphocytes, they are mostly present in the cortical area, cortex. Medulla, which is the central lighter zone of each lobule. Lymphocyte, in case of medulla, they are fewer, while the epithelial reticular cells, they are more in number. Prominent feature in the medulla, how one can recognize that this particular histological section is of thymus, that characteristic point is Hessel corpuscle. The identification point in case of thymus is the Hessel corpuscle, which is also known as thymic corpuscle. They are basically epithelial reticular cells. They are epithelial reticular cells, but they are arranged concentrically. See, but they are arranged concentrically. They are arranged concentrically. They are epithelial cells, epithelial reticular cells. Epithelial reticular cells in the medulla, they are arranged as concentrically. They're called as Hessel's corpuscle, and this Hessel corpuscle, they are the identification point of a thymus. When you see a histological slide and of a lymphoid organ, you will see capsule. There is darker cortical area densely packed with the T lymphocytes, and in between these T lymphocytes, there are epithelial reticular cells and macrophages. And there is, while this is the lighter medullary area, and you will find concentric corpuscles or the Hessel corpuscles or the thymic corpuscles within the lighter area. This is the slide of a thymus. Thymocytes are the thymocytes. They are sparse in case of medulla. See, they are more densely present in the cortical part. Okay, thymocytes are basically immature T lymphocytes. Immature T lymphocytes, they are thymocytes. They are mostly present in the cortical area, while they are sparse in the medullary area. Epithelial reticular cells, they are mostly present in the medulla, and they are concentrically arranged, forming Hessel corpuscle. When they are concentrically arranged, they are called Hessel corpuscle. Clear with the histology of a thymus gland? Now, blood-thymus barrier. Blood-thymus barrier is how it is formed. Is blood-thymus barrier. Blood-thymus barrier consists of two components. It is formed by two components. One, the tight junctions between the endothelial cells of the cortical capillaries. Capillaries in the cortical area, they have endothelium, and the tight junction between these endothelial cells, they are one of the component of the blood-thymus barrier. And the other component is the perivascular sheet of the thymic epithelial cells. Thymic epithelial cells. Epithelial cells in case of thymus, they are of three types. One, epithelial reticular cells, which are present mostly in the medulla. And when these epithelial reticular cells, they are arranged concentrically, they are called as Hessel corpuscle, number 2. And when these epithelial cells, they become flattened, they form a continuous layer around the periphery of the cortex and around the blood vessels in the cortical area. This layer of epithelial cells in the thymus contribute in the formation of blood-thymic barrier. And due to this blood-thymic barrier, and the antigens or the foreign particles, in the blood, they does not come in direct contact with the thymic lymphocyte. And this again, this barrier consists of endothelial cells tight junction. Barrier हमेशा तब बनता है जब tight junctions होते हैं, occluding junctions होते हैं. ठीक है, tight junction between the endothelial cells of the cortical capillaries and basement membrane and the layer of flattened epithelial cells of the thymus. ठीक है, epithelial cell thymus में you will find they are of three types. One, when they are flattened, lies beneath the capsule in the cortical area. They take part in the formation of blood thymic barrier. One, which are present abundantly in the cortex, they are epithelial reticular cells. One, which are present in the medulla, arranged as concentrically, they are called as Hessel corpuscle. Hessel corpuscle is the identification point of a thymus. Macromolecules from the blood, they cannot pass to the thymic parenchyma across the capillary walls in the cortical region of the thymic lobule due to the presence of the blood thymic barrier. And the antigen, they are present, they are circulating in the blood. They also do not enter directly into the thymic lymphocytes. This is the function of the blood thymic barrier. It consists of tight junctions of the endothelial cells of the cortical capillaries and a flattened layer of epithelial cells of the thymus. Lymph nodes, they are ovoid or bean-shaped structures. They are present in the course of the lymphatic system. See this picture. These are the lymphatic vessels. These are the lymphatic vessels, and along these lymphatic vessels, you will find a nodular structure. This nodular structure, they are lymph nodes. Lymph from these vessels entered the lymph node, filtered, and then again entered the efferent vessel. Efferent, the vessel, lymphatic vessel which carry lymph to the lymph node, it is regarded as the efferent, AFFERENT, efferent lymphatic vessel, while the lymphatic vessel which carry lymph away from the lymph node will be regarded as efferent lymphatic vessel. See, efferent lymphatic vessel. EFFERENT, efferent lymphatic vessel. Lymph node, they are bean-shaped structure. They are present in the course of the lymphatic vessel. They again have a capsule. They have a cortex and medulla and various sinuses. Capsule, again, it is made up of connective tissue and it extends its trabeculations or the septa and enters the substance of the node, lymph node. Cortex of a lymph node is darkly stained and it is the peripheral part. It lies under the capsule and it is again densely packed with the lymphocytes, and along with the lymphocytes you will find plasma cells and macrophages. Cortex of a lymph node, it is divided into outer cortex and inner cortex. See the outer cortex and the inner cortex. Outer cortex lies beneath the capsule, and the inner cortex is also called as paracortex. Inner cortex or the paracortex. Paracortex is present between the outer cortex and the medulla, which is the lighter pale area. Cortex of a lymph node, it has two areas, outer cortex and the inner cortex or the paracortex. Outer cortex, it lies adjacent to the capsule, underneath to the capsule. It contains mainly B lymphocytes with the lymphoid nodules. B lymphocyte with the spherical B lymphocytes, they are aggregated. Nurullah, you want to ask anything? outer cortex of a lymph node, it mainly comprises of B lymphocyte and these B lymphocytes, they are densely packed as spherical nodules. That's why they are called as lymphoid nodules. The lymphoid, spherical lymph node, basically, they are the aggregated B lymphocytes. Some of these nodules show a light stained zone in the central area that is called as germinal center, which is the site of B lymphocyte proliferation. See, in the outer cortex, these are the spherical nodules, and you will find a lighter area, which is the germinal center, and it is here the B lymphocytes, they are the proliferation of B lymphocyte takes place here in the germinal center of outer cortex. See, the germinal center for the proliferation of B cell. This all is the outer cortex having spherical nodules which consist of densely packed B lymphocytes. Inner cortex lies underneath the outer cortex and it surrounds the medulla. It is also called as paracortex and it contains mainly T lymphocyte. That's why it is also called as thymus dependent cortex, because T lymphocytes, they will be coming from the thymus. B cells, they are being carried to the lymph node through the bone marrow, while T lymphocytes, they are first they get matured in the thymus and then they enter the lymph node. The inner cortex or the paracortex, which consists of T lymphocytes, it is basically thymus dependent cortex, and there is no lymphoid nodule or lymphoid follicle. These two are the same things. ठीक है, कहीं आप लिखा हुआ lymphoid follicle आप कंफ्यूज हो जाए. Lymphoid nodule and lymphoid follicle, they are the same thing. They are not present in the paracortex. This can be your BCQ question. What is the particular site in a lymph node which is devoid of lymphatic nodule? The answer will be paracortex. This can be your BCQ. There is no lymphatic nodule, no lymphoid follicle in the paracortex of a lymph node, while outer cortex and medulla, these two parts of a lymph node, they do possess lymphatic nodule. Clear? See, inner cortex or the paracortex, you will find T lymphocytes, but there will be no lymphoid nodules. These T lymphocytes, they are not densely packed as nodules. You will not appreciate lymphoid nodules or the lymphoid follicle in case of paracortex. See, in case of paracortex, you will not find lymphoid nodules or the lymphoid follicles. But in case of outer cortex, these are the densely packed aggregation of B lymphocytes. Paracortex mostly comprises of T lymphocytes. Medulla is the pale stained area or the central part of a lymph node. It is surrounded by the inner cortex. It consists of cords and the sinuses. Medullary cords, they are basically the extension of the inner cortex, and these medullary cords, they are separated by the medullary sinuses. The lymphoid tissue in the medulla, it is basically arranged as an irregularly anastomosing cords, and these cords are called medullary cords, which are extension of inner cortex or the paracortex, and in between the inner cortex or the medullary cords, there are the medullary sinuses. Lymphatic vessels and the lymphatic sinuses of a lymph node, they allow unidirectional flow of the lymph through the node. What happens? Afferent lymphatic vessels. So this is the convex area, convex bulging side of a lymph node, and where artery enters and vein and lymph exits. The afferent vessels, they enter the convex surface of the lymph node. Filtered macrophages in the lymph node, their function is to filter the lymph, the particulate matter, foreign particles, harmful substances present in the lymph. They are being cleared by the macrophages present in the lymphocytes. Then through the efferent lymphatic vessels, lymph exit from the lymph node. Sinuses, lymph vessels, lymph passes through various sinuses of lymph nodes and get filtered in them. There are three types of sinuses present in the lymph node. One is the subcapsular. Beneath the capsule, you will find subcapsular sinus. Between the capsule and the outer cortex, intermediate sinus is present on both sides of the trabeculation. Connects subcapsular sinus to the medullary sinus, and medullary sinuses are those anastomosing sinuses present in between the medullary cords. See, beneath the capsule, you will find subcapsular sinuses on each side of the trabeculation. These are the septa or the trabeculae. On each side of the trabeculation or the septum, you will find trabecular sinuses. Subcapsular sinuses continuous into the trabecular sinuses, and through the trabecular sinuses, lymph enters the sinuses of the medullary sinuses. See, medullary sinuses present between the medullary cords, and through the medullary sinus, lymph exit from the efferent vessels.
मैम आपने जो अभी साइनसिस की टाइप्स बताई ना वो समझ नहीं आई।
बेटा एक ये है सब मींस बिलो. Beneath the capsule, you will find sinus. Sinuses are basically lymph vessels inside the lymph node. ठीक है, lymph जो efferent vessels के through enter हुआ है into the lymph node, उसे कोई लेकर तो जाएगा ना. These are the lymph sinuses are the spaces which carry lymph within the lymph node. ठीक है, efferent से जो है efferent vessels will carry lymph which is unfiltered, enters through the capsule, and here they will find subcapsular sinuses. Okay, these are the septa or the trabeculations. On each side of the trabeculation, you will find trabecular sinuses. Okay, lymph यहाँ से enter हुआ, enters the subcapsular sinus, then they enter the trabecular sinus on each side. Okay, and then they enter the medullary sinuses. Medullary sinuses are present between the medullary cords, and then through the medullary sinuses they will exit the lymph node through its hilum and enters the efferent lymphatic. And in between the sinuses there are gaps, macrophages present in the outer cortex, in the inner cortex, in the medulla. They enter the sinuses. They will remove the harmful substances within the lymph, and then filtered lymph exit the lymph node. Clear? Spleen is the largest lymphoid organ. It is again covered by a capsule, and the parenchyma of a spleen consists of a white pulp and the red pulp and the marginal zone. Capsule is of dense connective tissue, and from the capsule again there are trabeculation. They are extending towards the substance of the organ and blood vessels. It is the spleen. It is the only lymphoid organ which is associated with the filtration of the blood. बाकी सब में lymph आता है, ठीक है? It is the only organ specialized for the filtration of the blood. The spleen has no efferent lymphatics. जैसे lymph node में efferent लेकर आ रही थी, फिर efferent बाहर जा रही थी. There are no efferent lymphatics in the spleen. And the sinuses in the spleen, they are filled with blood instead of lymph. Spleen is covered by a capsule of dense connective tissue, which send its trabeculation and blood vessels. याद रखें जो सेप्टा है वो डिवाइड करें ग्लैंड को into incomplete lobules, but they also carry vasculature to the inside of the gland or a lymphoid organ. ठीक है? In the location of a spleen, it is present in the left upper quadrant of the abdomen, above and posterior to the stomach. This is the hilum of a spleen. Artery enters and vein exits through the hilum. As we have discussed, spleen comprises of white pulp, red pulp, and the marginal zone. White pulp is termed as white pulp because of the appearance of the unstained fresh section of the spleen. Spleen को जब remove करेंगे, उसका inside देखेंगे without staining. There is portion which appears white and there is portion which appears red. ठीक है? उस हिसाब से unstained section of fresh specimen. ठीक है? According to that basis, spleen is divided into white pulp and the red pulp. White pulp is basically the area or the part of the spleen which appears white when there is unstained section of fresh specimen. They appear grayish white circular region surrounded by dark red tissue, that is red pulp. There are arteries present in the trabeculation and in the white pulp. As we have discussed, the blood vessels, they enter the substance of the spleen through the septa or the trabeculae, but in the area of the white pulp, these arteries, they give rise to the arterioles. And these arterioles, they are called as central arteries. Central arteries. Around the central arteries, white lymphoid tissue of white pulp forms a sheath that is called as periarterial lymphatic sheath. What happens? Trabeculae extending towards the substance of the spleen, they carry arteries in them, and arteries in areas of the white pulp, they ramify to become arterioles. And here the arterioles, they are in the white pulp, they are called as central arteries. lymphatic tissue around these central arteries form a sheath that is called as periarterial lymphatic sheath. Around the artery, there is lymphatic sheath, periarterial lymphatic sheath. And this sheath, in case of white pulp, in white pulp also thickened the lymphatic tissue. Lymphatic tissue, number one, they are in the white pulp around the central arteries, they form periarterial lymphatic sheath. And second, the lymphatic tissue of the white pulp around certain central arteries, they become thickened, they become nodular, they become ovoid masses. These ovoid masses of lymphatic tissue around arteries, certain division of arteries, they are called as splenic nodules or the Malpighian bodies. And these nodules, these Malpighian bodies contain T lymphocytes. The sheath has T lymphocyte while splenic nodule has B lymphocyte. Perivascular periarterial lymphatic sheath consists of T lymphocyte and splenic nodules, which are the thickened lymphoid masses around the branches of the central arteries. They are the splenic nodules. They consist mainly of the B lymphocyte. Most of the spleen consists of red pulp. See, all of the spleen is the red pulp. These are the white pulp. Branches of the central artery. Around the branches of the central artery, there is a formation of sheath by the lymphatic tissue in the areas of the white pulp. See, this is the white pulp. This all is the red pulp. Term red pulp is basically based on the appearance of unstained section of fresh specimen. This red pulp has two components. Number one, cords and sinusoids. The red pulp cords, they are also called as cords of Billroth. Lymphoid tissue or the sinusoids, they are basically the venous sinusoids. Venous sinusoids, they are basically anastomosing with each other. These sinusoids, they are anastomosing with each other, but their anastomosing adds the cords. That's why they are cords, and the cords in the red pulp, they are called as cords of Billroth. Venous sinuses or the sinusoids, they are anastomosing cords. They are called as cords of Billroth, and they consist of lymphocytes, erythrocytes, leukocytes, plasma cells, monocytes, macrophages, and platelets also. They are basically irregular anastomosing pores surrounding the sinusoids. The sinusoids have wider lumen, and the endothelial cells of the sinusoids, they are elongated and lies parallel. Yes, roll number 198. You want to ask anything? See the histological section of the spleen. This is the capsule. It sends its reticulation towards the parenchyma of the spleen. This is the white pulp. This is the branch of the central artery. It is surrounded by the lymphatic tissue forming periarterial lymphatic sheath. While lymphatic tissue in white pulp, when they are aggregated as ovoid masses, they are called as splenic nodules or the Malpighian bodies. Malpighian body or splenic nodules consist of B lymphocyte, while the periarterial lymphatic sheath consists of T lymphocytes. See the lymphatic nodules in the white pulp. They are the thickening of the lymphatic tissue around the divisions of the central arteries, forming splenic nodules or the Malphizian body. They consist of B lymphocyte. This is the red pulp. It consists of sinusoids which are anastomosing with each other as cords of Billroth. Last lymphoid organ is the tonsil. Tonsil, it is located in the oropharynx. It is called as palatine tonsil. Where it is located in the nasopharynx, it is called as pharyngeal tonsil. When it is located around the eustachian tube or the pharyngeal tube, the tube connecting the pharynx with the middle ear. They are called as tubal tonsils. And when the tonsils, they are present on the posterior half of the tongue, they are called as lingual tonsils. Palatine tonsils, they are basically pair of lymphoid tissue. They are located in the lateral wall of the oropharynx. Their medial surface show indentation. They are surrounded by epithelium. Medial surface, that is towards the lumen of the oropharynx, towards the lumen of the oral cavity. They are surrounded by they are lined by the stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. I think you all know the epithelium of oral cavity. Most of the parts of the oral cavity is stratified squamous non-keratinized. That's why the medial surface of palatine tonsil also has stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. And this epithelium show indentation. This epithelium show indentation. See, this is the tonsil present on the lateral wall of the oropharynx. They are paired structured. They are 2 in number. This is the epithelium, and this epithelium show indentation at certain areas. These indentation, they are called as tonsillar crypts. Indentation of epithelium, it is called as tonsillar crypts, while these are the lymphoid nodules. The medial surface is lined by the epithelium of the oral cavity. This epithelium is thrown into indentations, which are called crypts. Underneath the crypts, there are numerous lymphoid follicles or the nodules. The lateral surface of the palatine tonsil is separated from the underlying tissue by a hemicapsule. See again, lymphoid nodules. These are the crypts, which is the indentation of the epithelium, lined by the epithelium. Epithelium is stratified squamous, non-keratinized. Again, the histological section of palatine tonsils. What is Welder's ring? What is Welder's ring? Tonsils are also present on the posterior 1/3 of the tongue. These tonsils are called as lingual tonsils. On the lateral wall of the oropharynx, you will in the posterior superior wall of the nasopharynx. The pharynx has pharynx which continue as esophagus. It starts from the back of the nose and it has 3 parts. When it is present behind, when it is behind the oral cavity, it is called as oropharynx. And when it is it lies behind the larynx, it is called as laryngopharynx. And then it becomes continuous as esophagus. So at the posterior superior wall of the nasopharynx, you will find pharyngeal tonsils. These pharyngeal tonsils, basically all the tonsils, they are very much active in the children. Pharyngeal tonsil, particularly when they are enlarged, they are called as adenoids. Adenoids, ADENOIDS, adenoids. Pharyngeal tonsils, when they are enlarged, they are called as adenoids. And tubal, this is the site of a eustachian tube, a tube that connects the nasopharynx with the middle ear. On the wall of the eustachian tube, there are aggregation of lymphoid tissue that is called as tubal tonsil. These four tonsils form a ring around the nasopharynx and the oropharynx. See, pharyngeal tonsils in the posterior superior wall of the nasopharynx, tubal tonsils on each side of the eustachian tube, palatine tonsils in the oropharynx, and on the posterior aspect you will find lingual tonsil. This forms a ring that is called as Welder's ring, and this ring comprises of 4 types of tonsils, and the lymphatic tissue in these tonsils, they protect oral cavity and the nasopharynx from any foreign particles which is hazardous to the body. They form a ring which is called as Welder's ring. This is the Welder's ring formed by these 4 types of tonsils. Pharyngeal tonsils in the posterior superior wall of the pharynx, or particularly nasopharynx. Tubal tonsils at the walls of the eustachian tube. Palatine tonsils on the lateral wall of the oropharynx, and the posterior 1/3 of the tongue has lingual tonsils. These 4 types of tonsils, they form a ring around the nasopharynx and the oropharynx, which protect these 2 parts of the pharynx from the invasion and hazardous effects of the microorganism. This slide is very much important. How will you identify a lymphoid organ? Which histological section is of which lymphoid organ? Remember this flow chart. And you will easily identify the lymphoid tissue. Lymphoid tissue with cortex and medulla present. It may be thymus or the lymph node. If there is incomplete lobule, no lymphoid nodules, it has Hassel corpuscle, it means it is thymus. If it consists of cortex with numerous nodules and medulla has medullary sinus, it is a lymph node. If there is no cortex and medulla, it is spleen or palatine tonsil. If a structure is lined by the stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium, it will be palatine tonsil, and if there is red and white pulp present, it is spleen. Take the picture of this slide. It is very much important. Any question regarding the lymphatic organs you can ask.